Hello, everyone. Welcome to Season 2, Episode 1 of Nikki Marie Radio. Thank you guys for continuing to listen and support. I have Tracie Jade Jenkins, the Executive Director of a nonprofit organization called Boris Lawrence Henson Foundation. We're going to talk a little bit about my life, her life, and Taraji P. Henson's life. Most of you may or may not know, Taraji P. Henson started a nonprofit organization in September of this year. She has been very vocal about her dealings with mental health, her father who was silenced with his mental health. So the message is break the silence, break the cycle. You guys know a few episodes back that I have spoken about my own real life situations with mental health, between anxiety, depression, and so many other things. But listen to this conversation, and if you want to make any donations or want to try to find out how to be involved with the foundation, go to Boris L Henson Foundation.org. Stay tuned.
We wanted to make sure we were responding to hear about what people are doing around the country that we may not have heard about,
Right.
Because it's it's a vast community of you guys who are out there on the front line.
Right.
But we don't hear about each other, or the platform is it doesn't have a huge reach yet.
Right.
So, we're just pulling all the voices together. We're planning to do a conference in May, a national conference on the state of mental health in the African American community in Washington, D.C. So, we've spoken to psychotherapists, psychiatrists, family therapists, folks from the juvenile court systems, policymakers, etc., to pull everybody together, have an open dialogue about what some of the trends are, and how we can, as an alliance, speak to it and have a national conversation and probe for some policy change, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's where we are. And so, again, crusading across the country, listening to people like you and others, and of course, inviting you to definitely participate and be a part of the national conversation. Taraji is obviously extremely busy, but she's also very dedicated, for obvious reasons, to this topic,
right.
And wants to lend her voice as much as she possibly can.
Right.
However, there are thousands of people, and so singularly being able to push and support one entity is nearly impossible. But if there's an alliance that is built, she can sort of lend her platform in that way.
Right.
So that's what we're doing. And I'm happy to make sure we get you information around that. We would love to, possibly nearing the event, we may be able to come on and talk a little bit about what we're doing and how people can get involved and, resources that are available, etc.
Yeah, because I had a young girl reach out to me yesterday. She doesn't have insurance, and she needed to speak to someone. So in certain situations like that, how do you deal with someone who doesn't have insurance but needs to speak to someone and really wants to before it gets out of control?
Yeah, and we're not the mental health service providers, right? We don't hold, those resources in our house, but we support organizations who do. And so we have, NAMI is one of the largest organizations in the country, grassroots organization in the country, who has that information readily available. So we have on our website, for example, the NAMI phone line, etc., so that people know that they can reach out. And NAMI is national, so it's not localized in any particular city or state, but they serve all across the country. Right. And they have a division on African American mental health specifically. So, I would definitely advise someone to reach out to NAMI as a resource.
Gotcha.
For immediate support.
Yeah, I know that when I was going through my situation, I had no idea what was going on with me. I had just had a baby, and I just kept being very emotional, crying all the time. And I went to a meetup group, which I didn't have to have insurance. It was free. And I went there and I met a few women, and one of the organizers, she's like, I think that you're suffering from like baby blues or something. So she referred me to a therapist, and for like a good year and a half, I was on medication, and I was going there, and the therapist just went back into like my past. And I was like, I didn't even know that this was also another problem, like past experiences were actually like hidden.
Yeah.
And it was manifesting, and I had no idea.
Yeah. Yeah. And even beyond our childhood, just, the trauma of 400 years of sort of forced acclimation to this system here in America. And so, that rides with us every day. And it's impacted by our own experiences. So, and Taraji and I both are patients. We are still learning, and we're still, addressing our own mental health issues. And we just want others to know that it is okay, and that it's not as individual as we think it is. This is a cultural issue that we're facing as well. So there are a lot of us, millions of us, who are suffering with mental health issues and have no idea that we are, and no idea of why.
Yeah, I was gonna ask that question. You and Taraji have been friends for so many years. When did you actually come to the realization, like, there was something wrong, or maybe not wrong, but there was a mental issue going on within yourselves?
Well, for me, I was a teenager, so I was very young. I was 14 when I first realized that I was diagnosed with anxiety, depression, and my mom as well, and my daughter as well. Yeah. So it's generational for us. Taraji had traumatic experiences that impacted her, her mental state. Her father passed away, right before her eyes, and he, tried to commit suicide. And, her son's father was murdered. Yeah. When the child was 9. And so, carrying that weight without getting any kind of support just grows, And so I was younger, and she was, with me when I was going through my experiences, and still do. Yeah. I have a handle on it because I have gone to therapy and still do. And I do understand what's happening with me. I think it's the not knowing piece. Charlamagne talks about that too a lot. Yeah. When it just comes on you and you have no idea exactly what's happening. Yeah. So, it's a constant. It's just like, somebody who's going through different health issues that are physical. You're battling that thing for the rest of your life. And it's the same with mental health. So I've been, Taraji and I both have been very fortunate in that we've been hearing from so many different therapists around the country who've really been able to get in there and help, demystify what's really going on with our minds, and helping us to understand the difference between your brain and your mind. It's like, what? Okay, what does that mean?
Yeah.
So it's education, right? It's just understanding what is going on that also helps to bring a calm when you're in the middle of having anxiety.
Yeah. Like I just actually took my son, he's 6 years old. I took him to a neurologist because his teachers were complaining a lot about his behavior. And automatically the neurologist was like, oh, well, all of these things that you're telling me is ADHD. Like it's clear it's ADHD. So we do like a brain scan and all this other stuff. And he's like, oh, everything is coming back normal. But I think that he needs to be on medication to help him focus. And I saw on the website, you guys, the foundation website, and it said like it could be something else. Like he also has eczema, so maybe he's just itchy, and you think that he's jittery, but he's actually just trying to itch.
Yeah. And we want a deeper dive, and we want people on site in schools who can say exactly that. Look for underlying issues, not, just going straight for, oh, he has ADHD, because culturally that's just what we've been labeled with.
Right.
But yeah, and I'm also talking to a woman who's trying to get more support for parents who are having these conversations, right, where it comes back, oh, he just has ADHD or what have you, what your rights are, what you can ask for, how you can do a deeper dive to bring information forward so that you're armed when you're going into these meetings, and not so susceptible to whatever, they say. You know what I mean? Which I think is going to be a great program. So that's something that we are also supporting to get a national sort of, information center for parents who are dealing with situations like yours. Yeah. I think that'll be useful.
What about Alzheimer's?
Well, I'm not a doctor at all, so I don't have any information around that.
Okay.
I don't know what the indicators are. I don't know how we've been culturally impacted by that. But these are the conversations, again, we want to have during the conference. Yeah. So we get a better understanding of that. We're so complex.
Yeah, definitely.
All the things that we've been affected by.
Yeah.
It's deep. And so we got to pull these layers back. And that's certainly an area that we need more information on.
Yeah. But the number one goal is to start a dialogue.
Absolutely. To normalize the conversation around mental health. Yeah. And, one of the ways that we are trying to do that is to have voices in the mental health space that, can sort of get rid of the disguise around mental health. So you have celebrities and influencers and corporate leaders and people who are just talking about it in our community, so that it doesn't appear to be something that is bad or wrong,
mm-hmm.
but is, again, a cultural conversation. We use things like we protected ourselves. We're thinking we're protecting ourselves by saying, I'm not crazy, or
right.
there's nothing wrong with me.
Right.
Because anytime we've said that in the past, if something is wrong, quote unquote, we are misdiagnosed, we are labeled, we don't get opportunity. If a white person were to say, you know, they're dealing with anxiety, depression, or personality disorder, they can still live a healthy, productive life.
Right.
For us, we're demonized.
Right.
You know, there are opportunities snatched away from us because, you know, people don't want to deal with folks who are people of color
mm-hmm.
who admit to such a thing. So
like,
we don't talk about it.
Like my dad, he would always say, well, you already have 2 strikes against you. And I'm like, well, what is that? He's like, well, you're black and you're a woman. So if you add mental health on top of that, they're going to destroy you.
Yeah, it's true. And those stories have been passed down,
mm-hmm.
you know, generation to generation. So, yeah.
Yeah, I love the messaging. Like mine is let your voice be heard and break the silence and break the cycle. It's basically intertwined with each other. So that's really awesome.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I hope that I can be of some help. Not really sure.
Yeah, I mean, there's many voices that we can get to the center, and you know, I would just say keep talking about it, and keep talking about it.
Yeah.
And again, you know, we'll send you some information around what we're doing in May, and perhaps it's something you can cover, or you can, you know, do an episode leading up to it, or what have you, just so that, you know, people know that we're trying to raise this to a national dialogue.
Right.
Get the resources people need to get in to see a therapist. One of our main goals coming out of the conference is to be able to financially support anyone who wants to go and see a therapist for the first time. So, you know, then that person can go back to their communities and say, hey, you know, I'm now on medication. They didn't take half my brain.
Right.
You know.
Right.
Again, demystifying what actually happens there.
Yeah, I went on live Instagram yesterday, and one of the viewers was saying that he was on medication for so many years that he just feels numb now at this point.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, that's scary. Mm-hmm. He was diagnosed with having ADHD.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, if we're not getting to the bottom of what's under that, you know, then the first thing people want to do is put you on medication.
Right.
And I'm not, you know, I'm not against medication, because some folks do need it. It's a chemical imbalance.
Yes.
That's happening.
Yes.
But that's not everybody's story.
Right.
You know?
Mm-hmm.
So,
like I read on the website, the Boris L Henson Foundation.org, and there was a story that was here about a young boy who couldn't focus, but it was just mainly his brother was killed, and now he's just looking out the window, making sure that he knows which way is safer to go back home so he doesn't die. So it's like different things are in people's minds it hits them differently. Like I still have some panic attacks sometimes when it comes to public speaking.
Sure.
Like my cousin had a wedding and I was her maid of honor and I had to do my speech. I had a full on panic attack. I got through it, but then I got sick the rest of the wedding. I was like, oh man, I didn't even get to enjoy it.
Yeah. That's a common story right there, buddy. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
crazy.
we'll get to the bottom of this, and it's not going to happen in 1 year. It's not going to happen with one conference.
Right.
You know, it's going to take the many voices that we have, again, across the nation, to stand up and raise this to the national crisis level that it is.
Mm-hmm.
We're losing our kids. You know, they're not getting the full benefits of education because they're staring out that window.
Right.
And if we don't address the traumas that our kids face every day, we'll just continue the cycle, and we want to banish this step by step,
right.
Child by child, mother by mother, and I think we can get there. We have a lot of support around us right now, and we just want to make sure we're sort of taking advantage of the wind behind the conversation.
Yeah. Awesome.
Okay, Miss Nikki. Well, thank you.
Thank you
for reaching out, and again, I hope that we can see you or hear from you around May, and it's coming so quickly. Time is moving.
I know.
Wow.
Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's. It'll be there before you know it.
Keep up the good work, and I'll definitely
thank you.
Tag me on any podcasts you have coming up around mental health. I'd certainly love to listen in.
Oh, awesome. Okay. Yeah, I just did I actually just did one, so I'll tag you on that one.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Definitely. I have to make sure I'm following you. Okay.
Awesome. Thank you so
All
much.
All right, darling.
Enjoy the rest of your evening, your afternoon.
And keep up the fight.
Thank you. Will do. You too.
All right then. Bye-bye.
What's up, everyone? It's your favorite podcast host, Nikki Marie. I wanted to give you some information about Anchor. If you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me explain. First of all, it's free, and free is for me. They have creation tools that will allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or even your computer. Anchor will distribute your podcast in so many places to be heard, like Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and so many others. You can even make money with minimum listenership. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. So download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. I can't wait to hear your podcast. The message is simple. Let your voice be heard. Do not live in silence. No one knows what you're going through unless you speak up. If you need assistance, please contact the National Alliance on Mental Illness, www.nami.org. That's www.nami.org. And also the number that you can call is 1-800-950-6264. Let's speak up and speak out about what's real. Thank you for listening. Please make sure you stay tuned for all of future episodes.